14, and I think I was absolutely elated that I was close to going insane with happiness, you know. And we were rehearsing at the time. It was brilliant, but then it kind of dropped down, and Visage went and did okay, but didn't do particularly brilliant. And I think Fade to Grey was the first single. But what happened was it was all belated, because Vienna came out the following early next year. Went big later. In fact, it went big when we were having to write our next album. This is early 1981. And also, they'd got it out in Europe by then, because it came out in Europe afterwards. You know, this thing, you do Britain and then Europe. It did okay in Britain. But then in Europe, Visage, it just went massive. So we were going over to Conny Plank to do our second album, and we're looking in the charts and stuff. It's like, welcome to Germany, guys, you know. And you are now double #1 in France and Germany. And it wasn't Ultravox, so, you know, it was a bit like, hang on, must have hecked off Chris and Warren a little bit. And we were. Fade to Grey was #1, and Visage the album. So it all happened. It was kind of a bit weird, all that, really, because we were there to try and write another album, and the second one was not helped by touring, so it was a bit like, oof, you know, God, and trying to keep balanced about it, because Vienna caused Ultravox to take off all over the place as well, you know. So it was like really, really exciting. It was brilliant, but it was difficult because we had to do not just an Ultravox album that year. As soon as we'd finished that, we had to start doing a Visage album as well.
When Vienna went big, did you think, right, I'm going to concentrate on Ultravox now, I'm going to keep all my good stuff for Ultravox, and Visage is a side project?
A bit, yeah.
Elaborate on that, because obviously you're not going to hear my words, so if you could say that, or, you know,
yeah, I did really. It was a little bit like, we've ended up getting everything here, you know. Don't let the edges. I started getting a little bit defensive about Ultravox. Don't let the edges get blurred too much here. And to suddenly realise I took Ultravox far more seriously. But I mean, that's not a bad thing. I mean, Visage was a fun thing. I don't mean in anything bad to Visage. But it was a little bit like, couldn't the wheels of business just accommodate a bit of breathing space here, you know? Because we were a mad touring band. I mean, really, we just, you know, we loved to tour. And Visage wasn't a touring band, and that caused a little bit of problems, because I think Steve wanted to, really. But that was always discussed that it wouldn't. He would do tour promotional things in front of about 60,000 people, just going on stage and singing along to the backing track or whatever. It was just a shock that it all happened at once, and it was a case of like, okay, the climate is a bit like, go for it, don't complicate it, don't whinge about it. But it just had a touch of like, by the time I did the Visage album, I was getting a bit tired, knackered, you know. It was, and we were preparing the tour. We had to think about all that for Ultravox, and we were going on a really long tour, you know, about five months, not that long, around the world. So sometimes the Visage thing, that a bit of antagonism came in, say, because the two things were running neck and neck, you know. And I just don't think the second Visage album was very good. It was a case of having to match two good albums. I think they were both excellent, happy album from the Visage, and a very energetic first album for that Ultravox lineup. So, but you can imagine we had a lot on our plate. It was a lot of responsibility, because quite often the second album is a hard one. You know, it's like you don't have the same naive excitement, you know. And like I say, with Visage, and you're just there in a studio, you know. And then with Ultravox, like I said, we didn't have that going off and trying out songs. We always actually did live, you know. We did that in the 70s. We'd always be trying out one or two new tracks with John Foxx period. You know, when punters came along, they always knew they were going to hear a version of some new track.
Was Ultravox more a band than Visage?
Yeah, oh yeah, it definitely was. Right from the start, it was agreed that Visage would be a studio project. But I mean, you just can't knock it. I mean, it was like we thought they just both really took off big time, you know. So you can't, but like I say, it's just sometimes you would like, I was on Chrysalis, me and Midge was on Chrysalis. The management ran both bands, our management, and Polydor was next door, although we were signed to Polydor America. And actually that got up Polydor's nose a little bit because we did well everywhere except America with Visage. I mean, really well, you know. So it was quite a very, very interesting and quite unusual situation, I think, for a musician to be in, you know.
Sure, and obviously two projects running along at the same time. How are you deciding which material went where?
Yeah, that... the thing is, I didn't really preempt anything much with the Ultravox one. I wanted it to just come out of what we were doing at the time. And I can honestly say that I was quite empty of ideas. I usually